are we okay to jump into this little photo series? I know we're short on time here. Um,
Yep,
let's do it. So we generally just show some images and just want to get your reaction, what you remember about them.
that's funny.
Here's the first one.
9091. Look at that. That's amazing.
Voted
Uh,
most likely to succeed poster for the people listening and not watching.
I always wondered who came up with these cheesy themes, man. But that was I laughed at that one because I remember seeing it afterward. It looked like I was the guy in the picture. Look at the frame, like wrapped around.
Yeah, that's right.
Look how young. Look how
Sorry
young.
about that, Mr. Jefferson. John
Yeah,
Crotty
exactly.
here.
Should have like put like that, you know. But look how young Jeff Jones is there too, right? I mean, he
Yeah.
literally looks like he could be wearing a uniform. It's just amazing. Great seeing Matt and Bryant and Anthony. And I'm trying to remember where the heck we shot that. It was like some local bank or something.
That's funny.
And just this next one just shows you what happened after you left, and where these programs went. Let's talk about these outfits.
That's vintage Dougie Fresh right there, man. The muscle sweater to try to show his pecs off, and you're missing the gold chain, Dougie. You got to wear your gold chain. It must be tucked in underneath the sweater there, pal.
It's probably 2 or 3 of them, real gold, by the way.
Look at
What do you think?
Look at Havlicek and Kirby and Bryant wearing a really bad shirt there. I don't know what's going on with that thing.
we had BJ on. And he's like, I'm pretty sure that shirt is still in the closet upstairs. I'm gonna go upstairs and look for it.
That's too funny. And look at Anthony. Anthony clearly didn't get the memo that you don't need to wear a suit. No.
Is that a quadruple-breasted suit Ayo's got on? I think it wraps around and buttons in the back.
Oh my God, that's great.
I mean, he definitely owned you guys in terms of outfit. He just was like, all right, I'm coming in hot with this.
Put that guy in the front.
And then we've talked about a little bit of NBA stuff, but talk about these guys here in this photo in terms of like Karl Malone. I mean, I tried to get Stockton into one photo with you. We couldn't find one, but talk about that. What was that? What was that like for you being on those iconic teams?
Yeah, those were amazing times. I have so much respect for both Stockton and Malone. Malone was, I think he really changed the position. His physicality and strength inside as a guy in the post, but also became an excellent outside shooter in the pick and pop game where he could knock shots down. I love playing with him and running pick and roll with him and posting up. And it's funny seeing Sean Bradley there. That's just sort of interesting because I remember my fourth year, my senior year,
the 10
we
blocks.
got matched up playing in the NCAA tournament in Utah against BYU. And, I think he blocked, 14 shots, and poor Ted Jeffries, every time he turned around, Sean was blocking one of his shots with his elbow, so it was a rough stretch going against Sean. He was so long. But I have great memories, and Utah was, one of my favorite places to play.
And then still on the NBA tip, everyone's talking about, we've heard your Jordan story. We listened to that on Twitter, which was awesome. Another legend from Virginia, Allen Iverson. What was that like guarding him? We were talking about your craftiness, and you were able to negate a lot of speed. What was it like What was your game plan against AI?
So I used to stay in front of him and do a pretty good job. He had an amazing ability, and you'll just look how lean he is there. I mean, people don't realize. I mean, he might have been maybe 175 pounds soaking wet, and he would literally be able to get in the lane and slither and finish and take contact. No one, back then people would really try to hit you when you came through the lane using like forearms and stand you up and make contact and punish you, throughout the course of the game. And you could never really hit Iverson because he would turn in his body and draw contact, but, be able to, be effective and get himself to the free throw line. I used to try to stay between him and the basket and did a pretty good job there. He was more of a volume shooter and scorer to me. So I always felt like, look, if he had to take 22 shots to, to score 20 points, I was doing my job against him and just trying to wear him down over the course of the game when I came in. But he was a hell of a player. Loved his competitive fire.
And what was like what was the reaction from the Jazz? What were your strategy in terms of like? I imagine when John Stockton's going up against him, did he have a different game plan
No, I
for a
mean
guy like him?
it was similar, to be honest, TW, because we wanted to make him a shooter. He was good going to the basket and finishing and drawing fouls and getting to the line. But he was a very streaky outside shooter. I mean, he wasn't a guy that was like a drop dead shooter. So if you could make him shoot with a hand in his face, keep him outside the paint, that's what we tried to do. And then we would try to funnel him, if anything, to our shot blocker if he did get the step. So he'd be running into more of a Mark Eaton type guy or an Ostertag who's 7 feet with length, trying to finish over top.
So this you guys were these two were, I mean, you were one of my heroes growing up, and then watching Iverson from Virginia also. Who were some of the people that you followed in terms of like with Last Dance is on now? We heard you talk about it. Like, was Jordan a guy that you sort of looked at that type of way, or was it someone else?
No, not really. I mean, like Jordan was so beyond, what I ever thought I could become. Honestly, my goal really as a young player was just to try to play in college in the ACC. That was my goal. I never thought about playing in the NBA, and it really didn't become much of even a reality to me until really like my summer before my fourth year, and I was like, I think I got a shot at it, and I tried to make a difference, and I enjoyed players who were smaller, who were guards, who could make a difference and impact the game, despite being smaller. I mean, I'll tell you, the era right now with what I'm seeing is amazing. How smaller players, due to their ability to stretch the floor with their shooting,
Right.
how that's really changing the game. And would have loved to have played during this era with the rules where they couldn't hand check you and grab you, because it was always so hard to be able to. I don't think people realize like how hard it was for a guy like Allen Iverson or Michael Jordan to get open a lot. You'll see my
Right.
right hand is kind of on his hip on that picture.
Right.
One of my favorite stories I tell people about that era was my rookie year. Derek Harper, who you guys may remember, who's a very
Hmm.
good NBA player. I remember beating him with a right to left crossover, and he reached out, put his right hand on my hip, and I literally was like, it was like the Flintstones where I was like running in place and couldn't turn the corner and get around him. The guy was so freaking strong, and that's what
Yep.
they would let you do. They'd let you, hand check and hold, and that would have been a foul, in today's game where you could get to the line and really, utilize your speed.
And one last one where I know we're running short on time here.
Yeah.
Um,
Keep going. Do what you got to do. It's all good. We're having fun here.
Thank you.
oh, we appreciate that. This is like a rare opportunity for us to have you. So, thoughts on this moment? This is when the rally, the alt-right guys came with torches on the lawn. Like, where were you? What were your thoughts? Because I think Fresh Ryan was saying, I think you had a kid. One of your daughters was going into college.
Yeah, this
So
was really, it's a sad chapter in what took place in Charlottesville. And what I hate is having the city and the university, being tainted anyway by this demonstration, because that's not what UVA is about. I had two daughters go to UVA. My younger one was just about to start. This was like the week before we took the kids up for school, so
Wow.
it was really upsetting. It was really upsetting.
And how did your daughters? Did they have any? Did they have any anxiety? Like this could be an ongoing thing, or were they like Charlottesville's the best? It'll be fine.
No, I mean, they had anxiety, and the vibe at the school was really different, Doug, than when you and I were there. After
Yeah.
this, there was a much more of a, a discussion, and there was
Right.
much more racial tension, and that was the beauty, I think, when you and I were there. To me, like, the guys on my team were that were African American were brothers, and we just, I mean, we got along well with the football team. We had it was such a great feeling of unity, throughout the grounds. I never felt the racial tension, but then again, I don't know, that was my perception, right? Sitting at my
Right.
lens of where I'm at. So,
Yeah, so the same way for me when you play athletics at a place like Virginia, some of the other stuff that may or may not exist. I don't know if it did or didn't, but you don't really think about it or realize it, And talking to that point, one thing I always respected about you, Crot, and I'm not trying to just tell you guys how much I love John Crotty, but you were a real student, you were a real athlete, you were a real social guy, and you said you had this ability, whatever you were doing, whether it's throwing the best party at the university, studying, or practicing basketball, you were 100% in. It's a real skill set, and I think you bring that to your life to this day with wearing so many hats.
You know what? I appreciate you bringing that up. I have such great memories at UVA because I wasn't just playing basketball. I was in a fraternity. I was part of a semi-secret society. I got involved with different student groups. And that made my experience incredibly rich. I mean, it was awesome from a standpoint of I was involved with a lot of different people. I still have friendships that are outside of basketball that are still very real from UVA, and
Yep.
I try to do that now. To your point, with I'm a television broadcaster for the Heat, but I also sell commercial real estate. I'm involved with different groups and have different friends in a lot of different things. And to me, it just makes life a lot more fun, a lot more interesting.